We are live now.
Okay.
Hi everyone, my name is Kadoni Bogwa. Welcome to yet another Friday session on matters mental health. Beginning of this month, we started the conversation of mental health and physical health. And during the past 2 weeks, we've been able to look at fitness. And today we are having a really, really amazing and awesome conversation that is much needed, and it's on body positivity. I have a really stellar panel, and I'm looking forward to hearing from them. If you're joining the webinar, if you are watching us from Facebook, please comment, ask any questions that you have. Put these panelists on the spot, guys. All right, this is our time to have this conversation. Let's begin with an introduction. We'll start from Mary, and then we go to Siombua, and then we go to Alan. Tell us about yourself and what this topic means to you.
Wow. Hi, everyone. So my name is Mary Wairimo. I'm a blogger, stroke writer, stroke mental health advocate. And this is a topic that's very close to my heart because I've experienced body shaming on different levels over the years. And I think I've grown like a thick skin, or maybe gotten to accept parts of myself that I didn't know I was at war with. Yeah, so I'm definitely very excited to chip in and share my experiences with everyone else.
Yes. All right. Thank you, Mary. We are happy and lucky to have you. Siombua?
Hi, everyone. My name is Siombua Kibwe. I'm sports manager. And in terms of body positivity, also to myself is very close to me. Being plus size, of course, through the years, I've gone through a lot of up and down when it comes to comments to my body. So this is something that, like Wairimo, I've grown a thick skin, and I know what it means to either be told you're either too fat or you need to lose weight, or having people look at you in a way or when you're eating and asking, are you sure you're not supposed to be eating salad? So I understand. So I understand fully, and I'm happy to be part of this panel and sharing my views and learning from other people. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, Siombua. We are happy to have you. Let us go to Gustav.
Hello, everybody. My name is Gustav. I'm a motivational speaker. I've been a wellbeing personal trainer for a couple of years, and I'm also a pastor in central London in the UK. So yeah, I like this topic. I love this topic because it's very popular right now, especially with things like social media, Instagram. It's something which I feel as if has been around for so long in terms of body image, but I feel as if in the recent past, they haven't really put a name to it and really focused on these topics very much. But recently, I'm glad that body positivity, mental health is coming to the forefront so we can talk about things that affect a lot of people, almost everybody really.
Yeah.
So I'm happy. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Gustav. I'm really excited, especially because you saw the topic online and reached out to us. So we look forward to hearing from you.
Yeah.
Alan. Alan?
Hi, I'm Alan.
Hello. Yes.
My name is Alan. I'm a psychologist. Yeah, so I'm here to just learn, and because body positivity, body image also affects our mental health in one way or the other. So I'm here to learn from the amazing panel that we have today. Yeah, and
Yes.
I'm based in
And
Nairobi,
ask
Kenya.
from you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Alan. We are looking forward to also learning from you as a psychologist as well, and a man in this panel. All right.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
last but not least, Wanga.
Hi, everyone. Nice to meet you. Body positive and confidence champion, plus Wanga Princess. I do content creation on digital, and I am a digital communication specialist.
Wanga, what does this topic mean to you?
I mean, obviously everything, because I've been out here like trying to jostle everybody to have inclusivity for bigger people, not just women. And I mean, all I want to see is myself represented. And I think that's what a lot of people, what social media has brought to the forefront. Like, we just want to see ourselves represented doing big, great things. And that's all plus size people are asking for right now. Not just plus size people, like really any group that feels marginalized or really feels like they're not perfect, and so therefore not worthy of representation. I think that's what social media has shown us, that they do want to be heard and they do want representation. So yeah, I'm happy to be here, enthusiastic about the panel, looking forward to the questions.
You got that. I love that you say like I just want to be represented. Body positivity actually did become a movement because of the great emphasis that people had put in regards to tagging their self-worth depending on their body image. So when you actually get into that space, then it means that whatever person, however any other person around you decides to define you, whether it's good or bad or whatever their standards are, then that also translates to your self-esteem and self-worth. And a lot of mental health issues have also come and emanated from, you know, that kind of negative vibe in regards to physical appearance, all right, both big or small or whichever way. And something that I've also learned is that maybe there's a lot of emphasis put on the extremities, but basically body image and how we look at ourselves is a really, really big thing. It's a really, really big deal. And if you're not like in a good space of mind, anything that somebody is going to comment will affect the state of your mental health. I want to begin this conversation by just getting real. And I want us guys to share. Have you ever, I know I talked about that, but have you ever been body shamed? Both from an external perspective, but also more importantly, internally, because we also tell ourselves these things sometimes. And us telling ourselves these things translates into negative thoughts and then translates into how we behave. Let me just, I don't want to pick somebody. Let's just start with somebody. Have you ever been body shamed in public or in private?
To start, yes, I have been body shamed and I have body shamed myself as well. Because I remember when I struggled so much in uni, or when I struggled so much with my mental health, especially in my third year, I lost about 5.5 kgs or thereabout. Yet I have a very small frame, so it was really, really eating at me. I could not understand why my body would betray me that much. You know, I worked so hard to put on weight, and then at some point and I actually lost it in a week's time, so it was traumatizing as well. So it didn't matter what else anyone said, because I already condemned myself and shamed myself at first. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh wow. Thank you for telling us that. And I love the fact that you're saying that it didn't matter. You had already condemned yourself. So you had actually gotten to a point where you're your own worst enemy. So you're the one who is telling yourself those negative things. We are going to look at the effects later. Let me pick a guy just to try it, because our panel it was really hard. Let me just say, this conversation affects both men and women. I did a poll, and 80% on IG and 75% on Facebook said that this topic affects men as well. And the next question that I asked is then why does it seem to be like a woman problem only? As in, why is it put out there like a woman problem only? So I'm really, really happy to have two male panelists on this panel, and it was really hard to get male panelists just to come and talk about body positivity. So I'm looking forward to hearing from them. Alan, have you ever been body shamed in any way?
Okay, thank you, Gadoni. Yeah, so, okay, sorry about that. Yeah, so mine was when I was growing up, yeah, and mine was not basically my body, but it was in my head, you know. So I have, my head is weirdly shaped, huku nyuma niko na kisogo, and and growing up, kids will call me Kichwa Kenya Bas, you know, or Maimbedodo, and yeah, so yeah, kids can be mean sometimes, you know how kids are, and yeah,
Right,
so they used
right.
to call me that, yeah. So in that regard, I was body shamed. My head was shamed, if I may call it that, if I may say so, yeah.
Wow, thank you, Alan, for sharing that. We do look at body shaping more like in terms of like height and weight, but it's also good like to put into perspective that it could just also be particular body parts that are focused on. All right, let's have Wanga.
I mean, body shaming, where to begin? From makagas to your aunties at the family party to yourself. Because when I was growing up, I really didn't think too much of my body initially, up until somebody started mentioning it. Then I was like, oh, I'm not okay the way I am. And then now that narrative started feeding into my head and sort of continually reinforced by public, because I feel like when it comes to women and plus size people especially, people feel like they have the right to have an opinion. Like they have, well, they do have a right to have an opinion, but they feel like they have the right to exert that opinion on you, right? So it's sort of been like the most difficult, anyway, it's been like a really difficult journey trying to continually self-affirmate my mind whilst I'm constantly getting reinforcements of body shame. Like a lot of the time I have to, when I'm walking on the street, I have to have earphones on because otherwise I will go mad with the things that people have to say about me. Yeah, so body shaming is very prevalent. I would say mine has been mostly external, and then that narrative replays in my head when, you know, when you're alone at night in the darkness, you're just like, I am so very bad. I am very ugly. You know what I mean? Yeah. So.
Oh my God. Thank you so much for speaking your truth, Wanga. I love the fact that you have brought in family. I mean, because I feel like this whole conversation begins like in the family setup somehow, with the need, with a small comments. Also, Siombo had mentioned something. It's just a small comments here and there that apparently are not supposed to be harmful, but are stabbing nevertheless, you know. And if this conversation, if this narrative actually is to change in any way, this conversation needs to begin within the family unit, yeah, because those are the people who are gonna be there with you forever. But I'm very, very proud of you. I'm really happy to hear that you are doing your self-affirmation, you are trying to take care of yourself. We'll get into the mental health perspective shortly. Let's have Siomboa and then we have Gustav.
In terms for, I want to add on what Wanga has said in terms of the external. A few years ago, being plus wasn't a thing. And so we were either called overweight or we were just fat. And so everywhere you'd go, you know, you had people who be like, hey, nasi umenona nowadays. And you know, and naturally, I'm a big person. I've always been a big person. I lose weight to a certain point, but I still maintain I've always still been a very curvaceous person. So you find that as in like those two small comments of, hey, nowadays you've grown a bit fat. You don't think you need to lose weight, or have you tried exercising? Have you tried diet? I was even sent the juice diet to try. Someone assumed that probably it was water weight that was holding me. So I understand that for the last couple of years, it has been actually easy that for the longest haul, I wouldn't even do photo shoots. It was never even on my mind because I always knew this was not the body for it. But something snapped at some point and I was like, you know what? This is what I got. The world is getting this body that I am in, and this is where we are going to take it from here. And that's how I started enjoying myself. That's when I started, you know, accepting myself, loving myself. That's when I started doing a lot of photo shoots, and I love the photo shoots. And now Plus has become a thing, which is very interesting because now the ones who are slimmer are the ones who are now pumping a lot of stuff into their body to gain some ass or to gain some breasts or to grow a bit fat, which really doesn't make sense because 1 minute you're either excessively too fat, or on the other channel you're either excessively too small. And it's just something that people need to accept, that we are who we are as we are, and we come in different body shapes and sizes and heights.
And that is okay.
And that is fine.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you. Gustav?
So yes, I'd say I've been going to the gym for a very, very long time now. But I'd say the beginning of started from my older sister. She won't mind me saying this on live, but she used to poke me right here on my chest, and she was like, "You're so bony, you're so bony." And as a boy, obviously being like a young boy, a lot of us as boys, we want to be big and strong as we get older because you see superheroes or you see your uncles and they're quite big. So you kind of want to go there anyway. The difference for me is that the poking of my chest and telling me that I'm bony is what made me get into that journey very, very early. So I started working out and training and doing loads of push-ups and exercising, but it was out of the desire to not be called skinny anymore. Right. So although I wanted to get there, it was the shaming that got me to start very early. And sometimes I feel as if I might have started too early because I feel as if primary school is a bit too early to be training so much as a young boy. You should be and the other thing that happened is I realized, okay, I got older, I got to a certain size, which in society is acceptable as being the very ideal or desirable physique for men to be masculine and that kind of thing. But recently, during this pandemic, obviously gyms have been closed, even in the UK. So we haven't been able to go to the gym in the way that we would. So some people have seen me after quarantine and they look at me and they're like, why are you so small now? Why are you much smaller? And I'd still say I still look more athletic than the average male, but I'm still being shamed because I'm smaller. So I've experienced body shaming in different ways, and that's why I agree with the point that Siambua just made, in the sense of you can never escape this because you reach a certain height and then they'll tell you this is not enough, or you get to this new level and you have to maintain it now. Even if it's a really good level, you can't go down to a lesser level, which is still good. I don't know. So body shaming is something which is a very big issue. And yes, I can see why it would affect your mental health because you're forever trying to please a standard that is all shifting.
Wow, thank you. I couldn't agree more. And when I was doing this poll on my IG, I just want to read 2 comments. And these 2 comments were from men And one of the guys said that what he went through when he was younger in lower primary is that people used to tease him that he had big lips. And it really affected him more. And I actually asked him, like, who planted that thought even before you had it? And the conversation was like, I used to watch TV and I would see people who are white, they have thinner lips. So I used to want to have thinner lips. And just what Siombua and Gustav are saying, I mean, some of these things, and even just to reiterate all of you, your body structure comes in a specific way. You will never, some things you can change, but there are some things absolutely you can never really be able to work on. And the funny thing is, like, now as an adult, it's like one of my best assets. I'm like so proud. Maybe my face grew into my lips. And another guy also talked about his height. I love that, Gustav, you've brought in the issue of being skinny, because we normally feel that it's only plus size. That's where the body shaming comes in, but also being skinny is also apparently a problem. So basically, there is no way to be able to satisfy what image is out there. So this guy said that he's shorter than the average person. And one of the comments that was ever made to him that he has never been able to forget is when somebody told him, actually one of his bosses told him, when you grow up, then we can have this kind of conversation. So I don't know whether in his mind already he was feeling some type of way because he's short, or this is a conversation that had happened after another conversation that he had been body shamed by being short. But that's something that he was never, ever able to get over, even now as an adult. Yeah. So this is a very, very serious conversation that is detrimental to our mental health. So I'm just wondering, because this is a real conversation, we are being honest and candid. In my case, maybe when I got kids, my body obviously changed in a certain way, and I got stretch marks. I mean, things that I had not psychologically prepared for. And like Siombua was saying, I felt, okay, now being a mom or being a mother, there are some things that I cannot be able to do, or there are some things I cannot be able to wear, or I can't take a certain photo shoot because now I look uglier and I'm supposed to fit this profile, this little box that people have created for an African woman. Yeah. Maybe I'm glad to say that I am no longer a slave of that box. I had to define my own space of what body positivity is to me. Yeah. How did that, let's start with Alan. Alan, you were talking about your head. You said that some kids called you Kiswabasi. Like, reflecting back, how did that affect your mental health?
There was a lot of self-esteem issues regarding the shape of my head. And I can remember growing up, my dad insisted that we shave bald, So baldness accentuated
that's making it worse.
Yeah, and so it affected my self-esteem in that I didn't want people to walk behind me, because in my head I was thinking, what are they thinking about the shape of my head? Yeah. So my self-esteem regarding the shape of my head was really down there. Yeah.
Wow, you can imagine that. So it's not just your self-esteem, but now there is also like a form of paranoia. I don't want people to walk behind me because they could probably be conversing or talking about me. I can't even imagine what that would have felt for you as a child, going through all that. Mary? Hi, Mary. As we wait for Mary to come on, Siombua?
Okay. For me, one of the issues that having a very large behind makes it a bit uncomfortable, because one, you have to dress it a certain way, and it's not easy because you're always not getting all the clothes that fit to that particular to my particular body type. And also, one of the things that I've experienced a lot was an incident that happened. Like, I was making a line in one of the government offices, and this gentleman just kept pushing behind me to a point where I had to stand outside the line because it became so uncomfortable. And I kept telling him, could you please move behind? And he just looked and smiled until I had to call security to be like, hey, Manzi, could you please help me out? Because with the way he's pushing up on me, it's harassment, you know? And so now, and I remember the guy saying, but you should tell her that if she's going to have such a big behind, these are the things that she should expect. And I was like, well, it's not like it's something that I had called for. It's not something that you eat a lot of fries and you get. It's something that came naturally. It is part of my natural body. So how am I supposed to shrink myself so that the gentleman behind me does not feel aroused enough to harass me in a line? And this happens a lot. You'll find someone will try and push up close to your breasts where you are in a matatu, and you always have to keep shielding yourself. And so as much as being told you're too fat or too big is part of this mental issue or part of this plus size issue, the other side is that you get a lot of harassment as well. So you're always protecting yourself. So you always, like, even in the middle of one of the hottest days, you feel insecure wearing certain outfits because you're not sure, okay, am I showing too much? Am I showing am I fully covered? Do I always, You've always realized that I always have a coat on because I don't want feeling like the person who seated next to me will feel uncomfortable if I'm just showing a bit of skin and something happens. So this is another side of where plus has brought a certain character out of people, and especially out of the men, that is not very comfortable to be in. So you're either trying to shield yourself or trying to figure out if I'm too fat to fit on this seat, or am I making the other person uncomfortable with how I look? It's just, it's a very crazy journey, I can say.
Wow, Siombua. Oh my God, you really brought another whole dynamic into this conversation in regards to how a certain kind of woman, in regards to body image, how they are sexualized, and how that also creates insecurity. On one hand, this is maybe the body type that everybody would want, but then the ones who are also there are also going through other certain dynamics that are completely messing up with them and bringing all these either insecurities or fear of the people around them, and that's really unfair, to be able to live and walk every day just wondering, am I showing too much? Am I sending a certain message? Will somebody rub against me? I can't even imagine. Really, thank you for being honest. Wanga, then we'll go to Gustav.
Okay, so first of all, Siombua, can we just applaud your big booty, girl? I mean, shine, girl, shine. Anyway, so when I was younger, and then I started being body shamed about being fat and all this stuff. At the time, Western media, sana sana Hollywood, ilikuwa imetuambia big boobs is what we want. Fortunately for me, my family was of big boobed women. So in my mind, I sort of told myself, okay, fine. So when I finally come into my boobs, at least I'll be able to say, I'm ugly, but I got me some titty. All right. Then Kim Kardashian showed up and told us, nope, 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 nope. We want big booty. And the expectation of like where plus size women are sort of accepted is, okay, you can be fat, but as long as you have big boobs or a big butt.
Yeah, it's only in certain areas.
Yeah, like as in, okay, unakuja na hii nyama yote, inatusaidiaje? You get what I'm saying? So I don't have as big a derriere or as shapely a derriere as I would like. So that again becomes like, it's almost like it suddenly became, first of all, internally, I was like, damn, I thought the boobs would save me. I thought those were the things. Literally, I was hanging on for dear life for those things. And then suddenly we are at big butts. I don't have a big butt. And now it's like, so now you're just fat for nothing. Like, you're just fat for nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And society ensured that I felt as such. You know what I mean? Like, it's like you have nothing to offer beyond your appearance. And I think there's always a misconstrued notion on body positivity when it comes to, like, if you see a big woman posing naked, she's not trying to tell you that, oh, even me, I need to be sexualized or whatever. It's more so just to be like, I'm finally comfortable. I'm finally comfortable. So whether I want to take a fully nude picture or one in a complete burqa, like from head covered in like the Muslim traditional wear, that is my business, not yours. What I think the idea here is that when women take control of that mental state to being comfortable in the body, then they do it out of, I can finally breathe. Or at least for me, that's how it felt, right? So being, the mental is crazy. Let me just say that. Like, you go through so many ups and downs because as you're going through those motions, you're trying to create excuses or find like little justifications for, okay, I'm fat, but I'm fat, but I'm fat, but, and it just should be, I'm human, and that's enough.
Exactly. Yeah. Above everything else, you're a person first before all these other things.
Before I'm woman, before I am mom, before I am daughter, before I am fat, I am human.
Imagine.
Yeah.
Wow, thank you. I'm really loving this conversation. Gustav, how did this affect you? I really want you to give us like two perspectives, Gustav, because you talked of a perspective when you are younger and you used to look at your ankles and you wanted to get there. So at that point, what was going on within you? And then also share on this recent episode where now people are like, oh, you've become smaller. Why, why is that? Yeah.
I nearly forgot what I was going to say because I just was so drawn in to listen to what everybody was saying. But when I was younger, I think it was just more so I had a curiosity of just exploring life because you're a young boy, you see superheroes, you want to be big. And in my family, my uncles in my mother's side are very big and muscular. A lot of them are like this. So I think for me, I just looked at them and I just simply wanted to be like them because that's what you see. And I think oftentimes, for a lot of people, whatever we see as at home is what we see as the norm. So it makes us comfortable. And generally, it was a normal thing for me. When I started to get body shamed in terms of, okay, you need to get bigger quicker now, like you're too skinny still, in this young age, I feel as if that's when my mind started to shift. And now that I'm older, looking in hindsight, I feel as if the things which I started to focus on a lot more in terms of body shaming became at the forefront of my life. They came all the way to the front. way too much, to the point that I saw how I look is more important than who I am. It's more important than my character. It's more important that I'm respectable, purely because everybody judges you and makes a conclusion purely based on how you look. So I found myself trying to overcompensate and like training, spending a lot of time thinking about my body when I could have been thinking about other things that could have developed me in life for other aspects. And that was my general experience with that. And I would say that's the issue of a lot of people. We get told who we're supposed to be and how we're supposed to look, so much so that it distracts us from bigger pictures, other things you could be accomplishing. And then you get older in life and you realize, wow, I should have taken that job offer. I should have applied for this job, but I didn't. Why? I didn't think enough. But why did you not think you're enough? Purely because it came back from what you were told since you were really young. And your body and you applying for a job should not ever go hand in hand. It should never deter you from going, because you have to use your brain. You don't use your arms. You don't use your thighs to do your job. You use your brain. As opposed to now, I came to a point in my life where I think, because I'm from a Christian family, and for me just working in ministry for a long time now already, I came to a point when I started to just realize the person makes the man or the woman. Who you actually are, your character, your personality, that's what makes you. And therefore, I stopped putting so much pressure on myself in terms of maintaining a physique or being in a certain place, because I realized it doesn't define me. I can break my leg, and if I break my leg tomorrow, this body will fade. I will not have the energy to keep on training it. But who I am is still there. So these days, I'm not so bothered. I see my physique as a cherry on the cake. When I have time to work on it, I work on it and I improve it. When I don't have time, then it is what it is. I've got other things. My character continues to develop. My personality continues to develop. So in terms of my mindset now, I've seen a lot of clients who have trained, and I've seen how they have moved from even getting a pay rise or promotion in their jobs purely because their body changed. And I was for them, but I was very sad, because they've hit milestones which they could have hit 5 years, 6 years before, purely because they were made to feel confident in their body. So that's been my experience in terms of my mental experience and my mental transition. But it's a time eater. I feel as if that's the biggest issue about body shaming and body positivity. It eats away at your time, and you end up focusing on things which are secondary.
Thank you so much, Gustav. That is wealth of wisdom. I like to say that nobody can drive you crazy. I read that somewhere. Nobody can drive you crazy unless you give them the keys to do that. This whole conversation, a larger part of it begins from ourselves, our internal frame of reference. Like, how do you view yourself? What's the mental picture you have of yourself? Number one. Number two, when you look at yourself in the mirror, what is it that you see, and are you able to love and to accept that? Because what I've really heard from this conversation in regards to how this affected my fellow panelists here is that you became preoccupied. Yeah. So there's this one thing, and because you've been body shamed about it, somehow you've thrown every other thing out of the window. So now your preoccupation is about trying to either beat that or trying to somehow fit into this description that has been given to you. And also one thing that I have also kind of really listened into is the fact that there was no like that personal definition of who you are supposed to be in regards of other things in your life except the body image. Yeah. So when we are able to look at what am I able to do? Like, who am I as an individual? Do I have a value system? What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? What do I really like? What is my passion? What do I want to be? Like, when kids are young and they're growing up, like, really their mind is just focused on growth, and their view of life is really untainted. Yeah. And that's why you always find that they keep on saying these big things that they really want to do. But then when we start allowing other people's words, when we start allowing external conversation based on what we watch and the unfairness of life, then that ends up tainting us, unfortunately, as well. I want to get into, because everybody who's shared in this panel, I feel that like you're all in a positive space, or at least working on yourself. So I really want to know, how did you get there? But before we go to that conversation, I just want to welcome anybody who is joining us via Facebook, anybody who is joining the webinar as this conversation is going on. We are talking about body positivity in all forms. I have a stellar panel. Please feel free to ask questions if you're in the webinar. Drop it at the Q&A box. If you are joining us from Facebook, please drop us a comment. We are going to be going through that. So guys, how did you get? Is it possible? Actually, yesterday when I did the poll, somebody, and I put it on my status, somebody said, you mean it's possible to get to that point? And I said, absolutely. Please join this conversation so you can learn. Absolutely. So how did you guys get to where you are today?
Mind if I go first?
Yes, Wanga.
So this is how I kind of got to the place of, because a lot of people are always complimenting me on my confidence, and I'm like, I'm loud. There's a difference, yeah. So it just got to a point of like understanding that there's absolutely nobody on this planet Earth, especially in this generation of social media. They're like, what I said, like somebody will always have something to say. Everybody, for example, let me take an example of like the latest chick who went viral, Aziad. She is quintessentially like what the world expects of a beautiful woman or girl. She's slender enough. She has the right physique. She has the right smile. She's a very beautiful girl. No questions asked. But the amount of hate people, they talked about her teeth, they talked about her lips, they talked about her hair, they talked about the way she was dancing, what top she was. There's nothing they are going to say something about you anyway.
Right.
Might as well live your life the way you want it. And that is how I personally got to the place of, you know what? Sawa basi, like let it sawa basi. And this is not to say that they're not days where I'm just like, guy, Aki another Makanga was just like, because literally the other day I was walking in Isili looking for material, and somebody was like, hey, madam, unatisha, as in, for anyone who doesn't speak Swahili, it means, hey, madam, you're scary.
Yeah, you're
like, scary. Excuse you? I'm cute as hell. You know what I mean? Like, don't even. And I, like, in my mind, my automatic response, because of through the training, through my platform called Project Huru, which is empowering plus size women, and on my own personal social media page on Plus Wanga Princess on everything, I always use laughter and self-affirmation to be like, excuse you, you're not going to be the one to determine. Sorry, I'm scary. But when I get home, I remember that guy said that. And you will have days like that for sure, but with continual practice, because for everything, what our parents didn't teach us is that being an adult, everything that you desire will take effort and practice. And that means even self-care, even mental stability, even physical wellness. Everything takes effort. And thus we have to decide that we are important enough to put in that effort. So putting in effort to tell yourself every day that actually, girl, you're all right. Actually, because today you'll say, okay, I'm not that bad. Tomorrow you'll be like, actually, I'm quite all right. By the end of the week or end of the year or end of however long you need to get there, you will be like, actually, I dare somebody to come and say I'm not the one. You know what I mean? So it takes practice. It takes a lot of effort. And I say to people, don't give up on yourself. Because if you do, then who is supposed to work for you? So practice, practice, practice.
I really love that. Don't give up on yourself. I also love the fact that, I mean, everybody is obviously going to have an opinion of you. And if everything that you do is dependent on other people's opinion, you're just going to be windy, because if the wind goes this way, you're that way. If the wind, and that is actually really, really mentally exhausting. Yeah. How did you get to where you are, Alan?
Okay, how I got to where I am? Yes, I've come to accept and appreciate the shape of my head. Yeah, because there's nothing really I can do to change that. You know, I can remember growing up, I used to ask myself, you know, how when growing up, I used to hear that mothers, like, when their baby was born, they shaped their kids' heads, you know? Yeah, and I used to wonder why my mom, like, you know, didn't like shape my head properly.
Right.
But I've come to accept that this is a part of a body part, my body part, that I can never change. And I've come to appreciate myself for how it is and how I look. Yeah. So basically, how I got to the point where I'm comfortable with it is just acceptance. Yeah.
Acceptance. Wow. Yeah. Alan, I really hope you and any other person who is watching really just know that that is a myth. You don't mold a baby's head into a certain shape. So there's nothing. Your mother did not do anything wrong. Yeah, acceptance is key, absolutely, at the top of the list. Whether it is your head, whether it's your height, your weight, whatever space you are in, you need to get to a point where you're like, okay, you know what, look, this is it, this is me, it is what it is, and what more do I have to offer other than just what people can see when they look at me. All right. Siombua, is Mary back? All right. Siombua? No.
Okay. So I have a very interesting saying that I always say all the time, is the world will get the body I give it. So that's my, it's like, if I feel like I want to walk, I will walk. If I feel like I want to work out, I will work out. If I feel like being a couch potato, that is it. The world will get the body that I give it. Because I was done with just being told all the time, you have to be like this, you have to look like this, you know. I remember there's a time a very good friend of mine, I met him in the middle of the road when I was going to work, and he was like, oh my God, what happened to you? You are lucky you have such a cute face, otherwise, girl, you have blown up. And I was like, wow, okay. I'm like, I'm usually blown up in normal circumstances. So I was like, that was it. Okay. I think at the time I thought it was really funny. But after some time, when you think about it, you go like, okay, have I really gone that fat? Am I really that big? And like Wanga said, it had defined a certain way of where plus was supposed to be. It is, you have either big boobs, big ass, or you have, and a very tiny stomach. And in
for
reality,
men as well.
Yes, yeah. And in reality, the thighs do come with the ass, and the bit of stomach does come, because your legs have to be able to carry that ass. So there's no way you're having slender legs and an excessive behind. It doesn't work. The natural body has to be able to carry itself. So you cannot tell me my hips are too big, and I'm like, no, they're enough to carry what I have behind there naturally. So, I think I came to that realization of, this is me, this is all I got, this is my body as it is, take it or leave it. Hey, I'm happy about me. So I'ma be me, I'ma dress me. If you try and attempt something, I'ma whoop you ass, but it is what it is.
Wow. Thank you. Gustav, I love that. The world will get the body I give to them. I love that. I've never heard of that. That's a really good landing point. I mean, and it's up to us to define for ourselves who we are and what we want. And then any other person who comes across us, here it is, this is me. You can accept. If not, you can keep moving, right? Yeah. Gustav, yes, how did you get to a point of acceptance?
I'd say, in addition to the points that have been made, because I can relate to a lot of what's been said, I would say for myself, I don't always speak for myself when it comes to this topic, purely because I feel as if, coming back to my parents again, they pumped so much confidence into my head, maybe to a point where it's even irrational, but they pumped so much confidence to the point where I've never ever thought that I'm not enough. I've never had a deep feeling of that, because regardless of how I look, it's like the confidence they gave me since I was young. I've always just thought, kind of like what Cian Boaz just said, I am who I am. You will take what I give you when I give it to you. When I'm big, you will take my bigness. When I'm small, you will take it. Because that, I'm just confident. It doesn't really bother me too much. But when it comes to like a change of mindset, I've worked with many clients, and the practical ways which I work with them to help them get to that point, which is also difficult to help somebody get to that point. I guess yourself, it could be easier, but for somebody else, sometimes it's difficult because I'm not in their brain. But what I have seen is the one key word which I always give people. It's hard, but if you want to get to a positive place with yourself, you need a reality check. That's something, there's no other way I could put it. It sounds a bit hard to take, but you have to have a reality check. Genetically, your mom and your dad came together and you are a product of their genetics. Kim K's parents did not give birth to you. You know? So you can't expect to have their body when you don't have their parents. Their parents is not your parents. Your parents are your parents. And you have no option but to take their genetics. So like how many of us are here in this panel, I can see that we're all different types of body types. We can all decide to a certain point, but all of us have limitations. I might never be as fast as Alan, you know, as an example. Gathoni might not be able to get to Siumbua's size. Siumbua might not be able to get to Wanga's size. All of these things can't really happen or shapes. It's fixed in a certain way. So I try to tell my clients that based on your body type or based on who you are, realistically, this is what you achieve. So this also comes down to things like Instagram. Be realistic with yourself and be honest with yourself and be kind to yourself. You can't spend all the hours in the day looking at girls or men with physiques which you do not have. You don't have their body type, but you tell yourself this is what beauty is. That's how social media functions. They tell you what beauty is, and then you aim to achieve this goal, which they know you can't achieve. That's never going to help you get positive with your body, because you're living in the dream that the companies want you to live in. You're living in a fairy tale, and that's how they invest in you. They get your money all the time. So I'd say you need a reality check in that sense. And I'd also say another thing is, coming from the church scenario, from the Bible will tell you, guard the avenues of your mind, for out of it flows the issues of life. You might need to distance yourself from people who are constantly talking negatively to you about your physique. It's not healthy for you to be around people who are constantly telling you you're too big, you're too skinny, you're too this. And you can't say that these are my friends. These are not your friends. You need to distance yourself from that environment and be in an environment where people will look after your mental health. They'll take you as you are, whether you're big or small, and they'll go with you on that journey. So I'd say these things, in addition to what's been said, can help you get to the point where you're positive with yourself. And you just need to remind yourself, last thing, is that in a world where how you look seems to be the biggest currency, at the end of the day, nobody likes to be around anybody that's not nice. Whether it's getting married, whether it's friends, your physique might attract people, but once they realize what you truly, truly are, that will really affect who you keep in your life. So focus on the bigger currency, and the bigger currency is always character. Because when you get to 40 years old, your body will start to fade. When you get to 50, 60, 70, your body's always fading. You find happiness in your physique, you're going to be old and angry.
Wow, guys, I hope you are still with us and still watching. That is such loaded wisdom from this really great panel. Let me just reiterate what Gustav has talked about. You know, that click, unless that mental shift actually happens, then you will just be like what I had said before. You will continue being a slave of certain types of description. And another thing that has also been mentioned that I feel that is very, very important, comparison is like the biggest enemy of any progress that you might want to make in your life, all right? And we look at comparison in two ways. So upward comparison, you're in place X and you're just looking at Akin K or whoever, those people who you idolize, who we've been told very well, their folks are not your folks. So there is no way you will wake up one day and genetically you look like that, all right? So that kind of upward comparison just contributes to you feeling worse and worse about yourself in any form, especially specifically to this conversation of body image and body positivity, all right? The downward comparison also comes when you put yourself in a certain space and then your focus is always on the people who don't have what you have. So you keep saying, but at least I don't have big boobs like that person. But at least I'm not as teeny as that person. I mean, that doesn't even mean that at any one particular time that you feel good about yourself. Remember I said that body image or body positivity, it's both a mental picture and what you see when you look at them. So that mental shift, first of all, needs to happen for you to actually come into terms with the reality of who you are and where you are and where you came from. And then now define your own path for yourself that is dependent on just you and not any other external person. There are questions that have come in that are really, really good, but I really want to ask this other question to the panelists. Tell me how you can either give your own experience or somebody asking for a friend or speaking on behalf of a friend. How has this affected maybe you in relationships? Or how does this conversation about body positivity affect people in relationships? Who would like to go first?
Me, please.
Yes, go, Anga. Please, also just a reminder, we are running short of time, but I really want to have this conversation. Yes.
I am single as hell, girl. Past relationships, most of the time is okay. So let me say this, yeah. Of late, I have been getting a lot of people who slide into my DMs who are like, oh, I'm so into plus size girls and blah, 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 blah. But then a lot of the time, the people they've committed to are not plus size people. Two, I really hate the idea of somebody telling me they've only talked to me because I'm plus size. Because to me, what that says is that if ever there's a change in my life, if ever there's a point where I'm like, I decide to go on this whole health fitness journey and like I decide to go vegan and or whatever, or like I decide to do gastric bypass or whatever I decide to do with my body and it changes, then does that mean you will stop loving me because the thing that brought you to me has disappeared? So
Right.
I'm like, I actually appreciate dudes who don't normally date plus size girls, and not because they don't want to date us, it's just because they had never found somebody who happened to be plus size and who they also happen to want to be in a relationship or an entanglement with. You know what I mean? So it normally irks me to be fetishized. Although every now and then, I mean, everybody wants to be desired. So if you're desiring me on a very physical, primal level, I will appreciate that to the extent that that my boundaries permit, right? But beyond that, I like, don't tell me that the only reason you're talking to me is because I love BBWs or hey, when it's size are mine. Sir, you obviously are attracted to me, which is why you have engaged in a conversation with me. Your engagement in conversation is supposed to be now, okay, she's cute. So can I have a conversation with her? Can I build something with her? Can we go further than just being acquaintances and even engage in a relationship? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And because I am constantly doing the same thing, I also have preferences. I also like end up dating. Really, to be honest, my dating history is everywhere. Like I've dated small, big, tall, short, zote. Mchanganyiko maalum, all inside. But meet me at my point of understanding and I will do my best to meet you at yours, you know? And do not throw the weight and or body thing back at me, because I find that a lot of the time when relationships progress and they grow resentful, which is why I'm probably not in them anymore, but they grow resentful, suddenly your weight becomes an issue again. And I'm like, you met me this size.
Right.
Have I changed? You know what I mean? Anyway, yeah, that's all I have to say.
You have had it from one and
I want to
only,
add on to
plus
that.
Wanga. Yes.
I want to, I can relate 100% on what she's saying, and especially in the slide into the DM. And the first thing they say is, whoa, I love your body. Can I take you out? And I'm like, okay, if it was possible to just take out my body and leave the rest of me alone, my body could always go. And after you're done with the date, it can come back. Because it's a thing, it's become this fetish thing of wanting to date a plus size woman, wanting to sleep with a plus size woman. And it's actually really annoying because when someone is talking to you, they're not talking to you because you're a person or because you're brilliant or because you have actually something to say. And they want to talk to you because you're plus and they want to see if it's possible to get away with just looking at your body alone. So for me, a lot of times, if you're coming to me and the first thing you do is compliment my body, goodbye. In fact, that's where you get the block. So, because first of all, you have to engage my mind. You have to engage my brain. And if you don't do that, at your time, Sina. So because I am passionate about politics, about environment. So talk to me on a level of about sports. As in, I work in sports. Talk to me about sports. You know, I'll give you stats on football because I work in football every day. But if you're coming in with that one of like, hey, that car ass, I want to spank it. Anyway, you guy, no, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Okay, and
But
sorry,
by the way,
just
Angela, on that note, just a minute, Wanga, I'm just wondering, Angela, have you ever gotten any negative remarks because you are in sports management and you're plus size? Have you ever
Of
gotten
course.
this kind of right?
All the time. In fact, I remember once I was having a conversation with a parent, and the parent asked me, "Are you sure you're in sports? And the way you're big, it's not you who's training people." And I'm like, no, I'm actually the career coach, the sports manager. We do have coaches for that part. My work is to ensure that all the teammates are well, their careers are going well, their diets are on course. And the lady was like, "And you don't take the diet yourself?" And I was like, "Well, I
Wow.
usually don't take a
Wow.
sports diet because I'm not as." It happens a lot. Because
Wanga. Oh, sorry. I was going to
no.
tell Waga because I cut her short. But
Yeah.
before we get to Waga, I'm wondering how do the men feel about this conversation in regards to relationships and body positivity? We are not going to, we won't shoot you.
So my take is, first of all, I just want to say I think Siombo's point is so good, because I'm in health and fitness, and I've been in sports for so many years, and it's always a crazy comment to me for people to ask, "Are you sure you're in sport because you're big?" It's as if people assume every athlete is small. There's all kinds of sports that require different sizes, so you can find athletes of any size. Skinny people cannot take part in stuff like rugby, or it's not advised. So it shouldn't correlate. But in terms of relationships, to stick to the topic at hand, I would say that, I hope this is not taken negatively, but I'd say that whatever we present in the dating process, or if you're pursuing a relationship, try to maintain it. Because if I see you and you're a certain way, I'm not saying that you should never change. I think men should always make women, and women should always make men to feel comfortable. If something happens and your body starts to change, they should always embrace you. But I'd say, as far as possible, if I present myself as a big, strong, muscular guy, I should not now start to relax, because we're together. Because you get what I mean? For me, that's a level of fraud, because I've basically reeled you in. You've seen what you like. It's no problem with you as a woman liking a muscular man, but now I'm relaxing because you're mine. I feel as if that's a problem. You need to try and keep the same energy which you had from the beginning. But I feel as if with that expectation, have a leeway to be understanding, so that you know that if something is happening and someone's going through some certain processes, like Gathoni said, having a child, or mental, like your mind is not in the same place, and you're adding weight or you're losing weight, people should be able to be patient with you, but you should try as far as possible to go on a journey to return back to what it is that you were, because that's where somebody found you, and that's part of what they're attracted to. Also,
well,
I'd say,
let me just poke you right there, because what also I heard from, I think, Wanga and Siombua is, and you also said that we need to look at this conversation beyond just physical appearance. And growth is progressive. I mean, the way maybe my mind was when I was younger, like I remember at some point, maybe in my early 20s or just 19 to 20, I used to think I'm fat. And I could not even wear a two-piece, because at that point I thought I was fat. But I think, 10 kilograms more than I was at that point. But I love myself now at this phase of my life and where I am way more than I did when I was at that point. In fact, I would never want to go to that point. But if you are saying that if somebody met you like this, you should try and maintain that, we are also saying that we are not going to allow people to progressively grow and change and be in charge of where they want to be. If you want to add, if you want to reduce, if you want to get into a health and fitness journey, if you're undergoing through certain pressures that maybe you let go of yourself, because the character of that human being, which I believe is also part and parcel of why that relationship happened in the first place, has not changed. That person has not changed. in any particular point. As an individual, they have not changed. It's just the outside appearance.
Yes, I totally agree with you. I think that's a strong point, and I support what you're saying in terms of that aspect, because like you said, it's a progression. It's you go on a journey with somebody, and you never know how that journey will go. That's why even from my pastoral setting, I always advise people, make sure you like the person that you're getting with. Forget about the actual physique, the personality, who they are, how they laugh, how they walk, how they talk. Make sure you really, really like that, because that's something which is easily maintained. Yes, things can happen to them even still. People can pass away, and sometimes your personality might change a little bit, or you might go through depression. But oftentimes, who we are, our personality stays the same. So I'd say in terms of what the example you've just given, I'd say that's why I think it's very important that in the dating process, both males and females really take time and to slow things down to find out, what do you like about me? And try to gauge how much of a percentage. If it's a fetish, if it's a fetish, protect yourself, because you know that this person is going to be gone the moment that fetish is not met. But if you know that somebody genuinely likes you and your body is a plus to who you are, then you're more in a safer territory, because they're likely to give you that flexibility in your development.
Right. I really want to hear from what Alan is saying, but somebody in this webinar, they're saying they're really enjoying the conversation, very, very timely. And I have a lot of points to put across, but I don't want to get into a relationship only kind of conversation. I really just want to stay on body positivity, because I know that's another whole dynamic altogether. And I think we should discuss that at some point. Alan, how does body positivity come into play where relationships are concerned? Your own experience, what you've heard.
Okay, so I think body positivity plays a major role in relationships. For example, I've had people who I've talked with friends, who say that because of how they look, they fear rejection, because of how they don't want maybe to talk with someone maybe that they like, because of how they look. Maybe they've not accepted themselves for who they are, so they have these esteem issues regarding their looks, so they feel like they're going to be rejected by someone. And also in families, maybe in marriages, for example, bodies change. Like Gadoni, you mentioned, when a lady gives birth to a child, there are certain changes that happen to their bodies. And then maybe some issues also might crop up, like esteem issues and all that. So maybe also the husbands or the partners can step in and reassure them that you're still beautiful the way you are and all that, because some people will start throwing shade. Just how some people may start throwing those shades whenever maybe you have a conversation, an argument, that is, they'll throw in a shade regarding your body. So maybe also partners can reassure their partners. And if you feel like maybe your partner has added weight, for example, or has gone through certain body changes because of one reason or the other, maybe as a partner also you can offer support, as in if it's encouraging them to change their diet, or maybe joining a gym or whatever, taking just an exercise, yoga, whatever, that can also help in improving their bodies, that can also really help. But so that's my take in relationships. It really affects, because rejections can come in, blame games, even the sex life can be affected.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. Yeah, and I'm really glad that you brought that into this conversation, something that has not been mentioned. Absolutely, definitely the sex life in that relationship will be affected. I really want to read a question that is on our Q&A. It's a very long one, but a good one. So this lady says, "Hi panel, Africans have been shamed by other races and even ourselves since colonial times because of our features. Our hair being kinky, our skin color, especially dark-skinned people, our lips, nose, curvy body, etc. How can you empower generations of people who have been shamed because of such?" Yeah, question one. Maybe I'll give that to Gustav and Siobua because they're like 3 questions. How can you empower generations of people who have been shamed because of such? Second question, still in the same sentence. How do you handle these issues yourself? All right. So I'll give that to Alan. If you've experienced any of these issues, how do you handle? And I think you had talked about something like that, but you can just reiterate. And then how do you also handle these issues in the workplace, especially when dealing with foreigners? All right, maybe Waga can attempt to do that. And also I think Gustav, you can give us an input in that. Yeah, and well, it is true. We have been shamed or made to feel that we are not worth it, or we don't, because we don't meet a certain criteria in regards to body image. Yeah. So who would like to go first? How can we empower generations of people who have gone through that?
I don't mind starting off with the question which you directed directly to me, and Simbua, in terms of empowering future generations. So one thing which I read recently, I was reminded of recently, was Kubrick's name, but he said it's easier to build stronger children than to repair broken men.
All right.
So one thing which is a fact is that colonial experience has impacted Africa or Black people in general in a massive, massive way. And it continues to happen today because the West still continues to lead in terms of defining what beauty is, and they very much sway the trends. And the issue which I think I'll challenge us as Africans, or us as Kenyans, in the little corner that we are in Africa, we need to start recognizing things that are detrimental to us as a people, and make sure and hold people accountable in our community in terms of the messages which we promote. And it's mostly through media. So media, we as Africans or Black people, we cannot continue to promote a trend which was given to us. So artists, music videos, what they portray as beauty, people need to pull them up and ask them about, why is it that you're still portraying this stereotype? In terms of our daily interactions, people's stereotypes need to be addressed head on, because you cannot deal with a problem unless you attack it head on. And this is a problem it's a problem inside the mind. So the only way we can really start to shift and empower people is by changing the mind. If your mind doesn't change, you can't be empowered because it's still in a prison. You're still in the colonial mindset of being told you're not enough and you need to do more. So I'd say one. And obviously in terms of children are like sponges. When they're still young, they don't know anything. They're not aware of racism. They're not aware of all the prejudices. So people need to take more an active role to educate the children correctly against what the colonial masters have taught the future generations. So they grow up with a different mind. And when you have these kind of people grow up to become presidents, influencers, social media, activists, all that kind of stuff, they will then have an influence on the rest of the masses, because that's what's happening today. Create better influencers who have a mind for that. That's what I'd say in terms of that aspect. Yeah.
Let me hear from Siobua. So basically, from Gustav, is that we look at the consumption, media consumption, for the younger people and for the adults who have been in that space and already gone through it, is to try and rewrite the narrative in regards to what they teach and they tell the younger generation, especially during that molding process. What we input in them is actually very important, and it goes a very, very a long way. And I also feel like, just also being honest with them in regards to these are things that are there, they're out there. You might face them at some point in your life, other than completely trying to shield them from it, is also a good thing. Siombua, tell me.
For me, okay, from where I stand, a typical African body is me. So I actually consider myself a queen of Africa because this is the African fool. It is the big ass, it is the thighs, it is this is the typical African woman. And therefore, as in, if you check a lot of the photo shoots that I've done, they're the typical African woman photo shoots. It is with the lassos, it is with the, you're in the shamba looking fierce. There's no, this thing of where we were told that we were too much and so we have to cover up everything. No. If you look at our traditional photos and the photos of what our grandparents and our great-grandparents and our traditional wears were, we were not hiding our bodies, and we were curvaceous and we were proud of it. And therefore, for me, I have embraced that fully. I have embraced my body to the point of I love doing African photo shoots. And I remember, I think the very first time when I did my very first shoots, people are like, wow, na venye umenona unaanza kufanya photoshoots kama hiyo guy. Sasa unaonesha watu ngozi. Sasa unafanya. And I was like, come on. This is the African person. This is the African woman. The African woman is actually very curved. If you look at, they used to take African women, put them in cages during our colonial times and had people stare at them as monuments. If you took that, if instead of taking that as a negative perspective and take it into the positive of where, yes, this is me and this is how amazing I am. And this is my natural body. And yes, I am fully African and I am embracing my Africanness. You find that a lot of people get that energy from me. And I get a lot of people who are like, oh my God, as in like, there was no way I was able for myself to be able to take such photo shoots because I always thought that because I was curvaceous, I always had to cover myself. I always had to wear baggy clothes. And I was like, no, show off your body because this is what true Africanness is, because we are not that skinny as most of our people and as what has been portrayed as to be pretty. And neither are, so how are we going to change the minds of girls who are in high school or younger ages who are curvaceous? Because we start being curvaceous from class 8 or from 8 years old, and we're starting to grow. So you'll find that by the time you're 8 years old, the acid has already started coming out. You're getting your boobs here and there. And so are we going to hide ourselves, or are we going to tell this girl to embrace yourself? Because this is the true African nature of the true African woman, So it's like we are not hiding ourselves anymore. We are not going to accept being shamed anymore. This is what we got. This is our bodies. We are proud of them.
Right.
This is where Mother Nature started. So you've got to respect all this beauty that's coming from Africa and the women.
Wow, thank you. So basically self-awareness and accepting who we are and basically not hiding, just living our truth, not hiding from who we are and what the structure is.
We are defining beauty ourselves as women and as African women. We are curvaceous. Right. We come with hips. We come with ass. We come with the stomach combined. And we are proud of it.
Yes, I can see Alan smiling. Alan, what do you have to say? Because both empowering and how we are dealing with these issues are like a transparent line. It's kind of the same thing. Yes.
Yeah. I like what Siombua has said. Just accepting who we are, right? We have the kinky hair, the big bulbous nose. Mine is like the real definition of a huge African nose. our skin tone, you know, our body size and shapes and all that. So she has said it perfectly, just acceptance, you know, this is who we are. We can't change it, you know. The Western world has made it seem like skinny is the new, yani being skinny is beautiful, if I may say so. But from what I can see on the panel and out there as an African, even big is beautiful. So yeah, I think
Wow.
the Western
Thank you so
people
much.
got it from, yeah.
I'm really beginning to think like we should have a part 2 of this conversation, because the questions, oh Lord, I mean, and we already half an hour past the conversation. But Wanga plus Wanga, Karibu, and please bless us with words of wisdom.
No, first I'm gonna need Gustav to like repeat what he said.
I just knew that was
Gustav,
coming.
I need you to repeat what you said for me, sir.
Yeah.
No, seriously, I'm waiting for you to say it, Gustav, please.
So
You said
Gustav
something
is
about
repeating.
children. It is easier to fix children than fix broken men.
It's easier. Yes, easier to build strong children than to repair broken men.
Somebody give that man a beer. Somebody give that man a beer.
We will just give him a high five for now.
As in,
Absolutely.
I believe I have an 8-year-old daughter who is very different body-wise from me. She, in fact, even in character, she's more demure, she's more calm, more rational. And she's also growing into her own personality. And the one thing I always want to keep open is the lines of communication. If you are speaking, if you are reading, if you are enlightening yourself, or putting yourself in environments where you are open to knowledge, open to learning, open to embracing the different from what is yours. Because the truth of the matter is, even within our own struggles of body positivity, there are prejudices that we have. There are traumas that we project on others based off of how because we are the sum of our experiences. And if we are always projecting and always leaning into the traumas, then our children will continue the cycle. So if we and we also have to learn to forgive ourselves for making the mistakes that we do, and understand that there's always a chance to do better. So if we get on that path there's always a chance to do better, whether that is within ourselves, whether partaking in self-care. Sorry, I live on the road, if you had that, my bad. Partaking in self-care, partaking in understanding, growth, learning, progressive journeys, then we will always do better with ourselves, with our children, with the people around us, with our society. If we understand, if we forgive ourselves for our mistakes, but understand there's always a chance to do better, I think we have hope. But to the question that you directed towards me, how have foreigners, gosh, I have had employers which I don't want to speak out of turn, but I suspect that there may have been times where my foreign employers or foreign colleagues were not very accepting of who I am, because this is in reference to specifically me, not necessarily my race or maybe my weight. Although I worked in media, so it was not off the table. Like the idea that they sidelined me or were prejudiced against me, my weight is not at all off the table because of the industry that I am in. I like to say that I'm loud, rude, and obnoxious. Loud because I scream a lot, as obviously showcased in this life. Rude and obnoxious because I'm not willing to conform or dim my light to make you comfortable. All right? I'm not willing to change up my persona because I generally think I'm a decent human. I'm kind to most people, if not all. I try and be empathetic. I try and do good and impact my society, my surrounding society, the best way I know how and the best way I know I can. So any other nuances that may slip by, whether you think I'm too loud, oh, she's too much, or oh, why is she not dressed in like a strappy thing? Why is she like in her short dress or whatever? Those are based off of personal preference. Some people like me loud, some people don't. It's okay. Unsubscribe and follow. Click that unfollow button immediately because there's not much I can do to change your personal preference, but what I can help you understand is that I am here, I am human, I am open to your connection with me, but if that is not for you, then it is also okay. I do not have to be your brand of tea for us to progress forward. I'm not supposed to be everybody's friend. I'm not supposed to be everybody's lover. I just need to have one lover who loves me unconditionally. I just need one friend, maybe three, to have like my tequila shots with. I just need one family member to help, like to be part of my team, because if you want to go quick, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. So I just need that squad that is with me, whether they understand me or not, but purely based off of, I am here to support you and I'm willing to take the journey with you to understand you. And vice versa, of course, it's a revolving door of love and support. So beyond that, you really have no control. You are only in charge of what you say, what you do. You cannot control what anyone else does. Whether they receive your message in a positive light or a negative one, that is not on you. Your intentions, your purpose, your intent has been put out there into the world. Let the universe do it, the rest. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. And I'll just use that as our parting shot. Like, you're only in control of you and what you can do that is within you. That's the only space. And another thing that was also said earlier, we need to take charge of our thoughts. I love to say that the biggest enemy is not your family, it's not your relatives, it's not your friends, or even your colleagues. The biggest enemy is the voice that you have in between here. And if that voice is feeding you negative thoughts that become ruminating thoughts, then that becomes an action, and then too many actions become a prevailing behavior. Thoughts, action, behavior. This conversation, this space where you are at, body positivity, and everything that is to do with you as a person and as a human being needs to begin from a change in your mindset, a change in your thought processes. All right. It's almost 5. I'm just gonna give you guys really 10 seconds each. Okay, just 10 seconds just to give us a parting shot, even though Wanga gave us a really powerful parting shot. Let me just give Alan and Siombua and Gustav, and if Wanga, you wanna add something else, just a parting shot in this conversation, and we shall discuss whether we need a part 2, because really there were so many questions. There are really so many questions that have come in. Alan, parting shot, how can people find you?
Okay, so I'm glad that all of us here have accepted or are in the process of accepting ourselves the way we are. And mine is maybe to someone out there who has yet to maybe, accept themselves. Mine is just to tell them just to treat your body or yourself the way you'd treat your first car. There's that love that we always have for our first car. For those of us who have cars, that is, I don't have, so this is what I've had anyway. Yeah, so.
Spot on. Thank you.
Yeah, so just treat yourself the way you would of your first car. There's that love, tenderness, you take it to the mechanic, there's just that bond you have with it, So from there, that's just pretty much my part in short, yeah.
Thank you, Alan. Treat yourself as you'd treat your first car. Treat yourself as you would like another person to treat you. All right? Yeah. You're the most important part of your life puzzle. All right? So you first. Siombua.
Yeah.
All right. So there's this Bible quote that says, "We created them in our image and likeness." In regards to when God was creating the universe, he created humans in their image and their likeness, which means your body type, your body shape was created in the image and the likeness of God. So embrace your glory, embrace yourself, love yourself, because this is what you are created this way for a purpose. There's a reason why you look the way you look. So love yourself, because there's a purpose as to why you came the way you are, and no one else looks like you. It is because your purpose on earth had to be fulfilled. It needs to be fulfilled only by you, only by the way you look. So do not, as much as there are so many negative energies that usually come, block those energies. Pull the full wanga, block, bye, see ya later. As in, you're not supposed to be on my space, by the way. As in, I don't be bringing this energy to me. No. Yeah? There's a reason as to why this queen was created as this queen. And this queen needs to represent as she is the way she is. So you've got to love yourself. You've got to understand that when you were brought here for a purpose, and you look the way you look for a reason.
Thank you, Angela. You are created in the image and the likeness of God. Every day you wake up and look at yourself, that's God. He did that. All right.
You stand in that mirror and say, yes, this was the perfection God created.
Thank you. Gustav?
A lot has been said, and I wouldn't want to add too much more to that, but I was literally going to come from a similar angle to Siombua as well, in the sense that the fact that you're made in the image of God, it means that you're enough. As you are right now, you are enough. Your value is at its peak, and you altering your body, you altering your hair, you altering anything that's to do with how you look is simply a bonus. Think of it as that way. You are enough. You're enough already. Anyone who thinks that you're not enough, you don't need them. Whoever sees you as being enough as you are, that's the true representation of who you are. And anything that you add on top of it, think of it as a bonus. Think of it as, I'm just adding this new thing. I'm just adding this extra thing, but it's not necessarily the thing that defines me.
Wow, thank you. Wanga, did you want to add something?
How mad would people be if they found out that they were fat angels? Anyway, I just want to say thank you so much for this conversation. I hope everybody finds their confidence, finds self-love. Please follow me on Project Huru, which is where we empower plus-size women and are doing a documentary based off of 3 plus-size women in Kenya. My page, Plus Wanga Princess, where people say I'm funny sometimes. So, and like, I really enjoyed being on this panel with each and every one of you. For everybody who joined us, thank you so much for your support and for channeling the positive energy for our mental health and our well-being. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you. And that brings us to the end of this really fiery conversation. Thank you to Roma Mental Health Hospital for continued support for us to be able to talk on all matters mental health. Thank you, Alan, for being in this panel. We learned a lot from you. Siombua, thank you so much for the energy that you brought. Wanga, thank you so much for, I'm actually gonna go right now to IG and look at Project Huru and see what you're doing. Thank you so much, Gustav, for reaching out to us, for bringing a good angle into this conversation, representing the men out there. I'm really happy. My name is Gathoni Mbogwa. I am a clinical psychologist and a mental health advocate. I'm really, really passionate about all matters mental health. So to my fellow panelists, as we are ending this conversation, I have a happy dance. Just do like this, then you'll start smiling. Guys, Wanga, Alan, happy dance. Yes. Happy dance. Gustav, you're not doing a happy dance. Yes. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. And anybody who joined us from Facebook, Asante Sana, Tunashukuru. Thank you for your support. See you next week, Friday, as we talk about mental health and nutrition. That's also going to be another nice one. And if you're in this panel, you can also join us then as well. Kwaherini.
Hi, people.
I was waiting for the recording to end. Adrian?
Yeah?
Have you ended the streaming?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Wow. All right. Thank you, guys. I'm really sorry it took longer than I expected. This conversation is supposed to be 45 to 1 hour, but clearly, yeah. Clearly
It ain't over till the fat ladies sing, okay?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
And also, can I want to reach out to you like separately. I hope I can get your number or like IG handle or something.
Is that
so that we can
or me?
Yeah, to Siombua. This is to Siombua.
Okay.
But get that everybody actually, I'm willing to connect with y'all, but like I want to talk to Siombua about something specific. Okay.
Okay, girl.
You
All right,
guys
no
are like
problem.
twins. You guys are twins. Actually, you know, my first photo shoot that I ever took when I was naked-ish. I think we should stop this recording. But it's
My digital relations are talk. Like,
Whoa, did that girl just say naked-ish?
So Siombua is the one who took me. I think that was in 2015 or 2016.
Wow, guys, that is beautiful.
Oh yes, the one that we did without our bras. Yes, the cancer one.
Wow, guys, I would love
my life.
that.
It changed my life completely. Yeah, because because everybody who kept on seeing the photos, they were like, "Oh my God, this is so nice. You look so nice." And the whole photo shoot, in fact, the photographer said, "You've never done this before. You're very body conscious." And it was because of these other things that I've been told, that I've been telling myself. Oh Lord. But anyway, life is progress.
Man, I really wished we had gotten to the part about health and stuff, because I have a point. Like, I have things to say about that, because everybody's always like, you're championing for, so what are you saying? Like, people should just be fat and unhealthy.
Yes, like, exactly.
Nobody said that.
Yeah.
Nobody said that.
But can we have this conversation as well? Because I feel like that could also come in regards to like nutrition, because being a certain weight does not necessarily mean that you're not healthy. Like, I've met people who are
my BMI is good.
Like, I don't do walks. I hate walking. I can't. I'm always panting. It's so exhausting. But I know people who are way bigger, more fit. They're actually way
You
more
get my
in
point.
touch.
That's exactly what I'm like. As in, the struggle for health and fitness is different from the struggle of body positivity. Like, what I'm trying to get you to understand is that I have been made to feel ugly when I know I can be beautiful, when I know I am beautiful. Okay. Now, if we are talking about health and fitness, a thin person struggles as much as I do to go to the gym. There's another fat person who, them going to the gym is no stress, no pressure, because they enjoy that type of activity, much like another fit, thin person does. So the struggle for body positivity and the struggle for health and fitness are two completely different, like
Separated.
they're
Yeah.
not. I can be body positive and very health conscious. I can be body positive and lazy as hell.
Kwanza, for me, I love to walk, and actually I walk. My office is 1.5 kilometers from my house, so I usually walk to and from work.
Wow.
Despite the fact that I am always like, yes, and I love, and of course, yes, I'm a foodie. Hello, but I always say, hey, I eat the way I eat because I walk the way I walk, and I love to hike, and I love to hike. So like, my body is not like this because I am lazy. Or
it is because your body has decided.
Yeah, the gods looked at this one and said, let's give her nest, let's give her tupatie huyu. You know, I usually say I was blessed, I was created on a Sunday. He had rested well after everyone else.
Wanga is frozen. Where is she? Oh my God, Angie, thank you so much for.
I really love you. Welcome.
Thank you for your support. We should do more.
Yes, we should. This one was really nice.
Sure.
In fact, let me see if I can share it on my wall.
Yeah, you can do that. You can, exactly. You can share it on your wall or post a watch party, but we'll also send you the recording. I can ask Adrian to just pick out snippets of where somebody talked, whatever point they were giving,
and also the full recording.
Yeah, so that you can also use that on your platform.
Because it was actually, we should actually do it again, continue the conversation. Yeah,
absolutely. We'll just that I've really arranged this program like
this
for
programs
every week have a new topic, and this conversation normally begins every Monday. Like Monday, we'll have a live chit chat on mental health and nutrition. And then that conversation goes to IG, to Facebook, and then at the end of the week is when now we do this video.
Alrighty,
rather this. So I used to do IG, but then I decided that I think this is better because I have more people. IG, I could only have one person.
One. I know, because like they only allow you the top and the bottom one. Alrighty.
Exactly. Thank you.
Your 1 hour took almost 2 hours.
As in,
so consider it a success.
Time. I'm like, trying. People have such big points.
And we don't even, and you imagine we've not even covered half the questions. So
imagine, when I'm looking for panelists, they normally ask me, how long is it gonna be? And then I say 1 hour, and then they're like, that's long. I tell them, I can assure you, when you start talking, that 1 hour is not even enough.
It's not enough. Alrighty, love. We will talk later. Tuingie WhatsApp.
Give me feedback in regards to what we can do better. What can we improve? Let me write it on the group. Yeah.
Yeah, actually just write on the group and ask for feedback. Alrighty, love. Bye-bye.